some of those who will be in the 2014 research program probably will present their results in the next joint meeting in San Antonio. So usually you will just do such a poster presentation. Okay. Any question? Any question? Okay. Anyway, so what is a big data? So this is certainly not said by myself, but someone else say it, and everybody say that. Okay. So everybody talks about it. Nobody really know how to do it. Everyone else is doing it, so everyone claim they are doing it. This is kind of true. So actually, let me explain. Okay. So everybody talks about it. Of course, you have heard about someone talk about what is big data. Seems like a very fancy thing. Okay. One of the very big reason is actually they are money in this big data, right? So in March 2012, President Obama actually announced this big data initiative, a White House initiative. So he announced, the federal government will invest $200 million in the new research development investments. So this $200 million has been divided into like a National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health, and other federal agencies. So all these federal agencies now have such big data initiative. Okay. Actually, I didn't write here. There's an update actually just 2 months ago in November 2013. Obama government actually announced they don't give the new money, but they actually tell you what kind of a partnership they are forming with a certain commercial company to continue this effort. Okay. So the federal government is always very big push in such effort. Then you can see a lot of newspaper, magazine have all those. These are all articles you can find. Okay. But you can see everybody is talk about it. That's kind of true. But nobody really know how to do it because there are also articles saying, big data is a big problem, is a little talent. So who can actually do those things? Not many people can really do those things. Okay. But anyway, so since you have this research funding available, then a lot of research university now have established their own initiative or institute try to get those funding. Okay. So here I just list a couple of these. Actually, I will put those in the program website, so you can find out. For example, if you're going to a graduate school, so there are some place has offered such program like MIT, UC Berkeley, Columbia University, NYU, Duke, UVA, and there are some more. I didn't list all of them. So, of course, what these people are doing, actually, we also don't know. So hopefully, the UVA professor can tell us what they are doing in UVA in March. But that's why you have this last part. So because everyone else is doing it, so we also have to do something, right? So that's why every university now has such a big data institute initiative. Okay, so I think as a mathematician, we always like, so what is this really big data means? Okay, not only myself ask this question, so I actually find some article, everybody is asked this question. So can we give a definition of what is the big data, right? So then you see, then we not only find one definition, we actually find a bunch of definitions. So this is not found by myself, but this is found by the author of this article, which you can find in the MIT Technology Review. Okay. So the first one is a kind of a most popular definition. Actually, I don't really know this company, Gartner, but one of the scientists in Gartner give a definition of the big data 12 years ago. Okay? So the central part of his definition is this is 3 V's. So it's a big volume, so big volume of data, and big velocity. So this data is a kind of dynamic. It's coming in every day, every second, actually, and a big variety. Data is a kind of another very specific. What is data? But basically, they come in a lot of variety. I will show you what kind of a variety you can have. So they are anyway. They are not a uniform. So they are not just like all like two-dimensional spreadsheets, but they can be something else. Then they add something else, the veracity. So that's really about the security and the uncertainty about the data. Okay. Then you can also have. Then everyone else also give a definition. I will not go through all of this, but the amount of the data certainly is huge. Actually, I will get to that. So, but it's 300 terabytes a week. Okay. So this a couple of more definitions have been given by those people. Okay. So this author can, these two authors find at least 6 different definitions for that. This is if you have been in any math class, you will think none of this definition really qualify for a mathematical definition, right? So it's all, all the terms here probably is not well defined as well. Okay. At the end, those also actually come up with their own definition. I agree with the first sentence. So big data is a term describing the storage and analysis of large and or complex data sets using a series of techniques. But I don't really agree with the second sentence because the name was some specific software or scientific branch. But I think you can see one thing is, first of all, there are so much data, you have to save those data, or do you really need to save those data? So that's the storage problem. Okay. Then when you have such a large amount of the data, there is the analysis part. Okay. And they also agree, so the big data is not just means the volume amount is big. Of course they are big, but also it's because they are complicated. So you have a different kind of a data. That's also the thing which make it complicated. So anyway, I think so. The definition of the big data is still ongoing thing. You can give your definition. What is big data? I should point out though, for this extreme QED program, let me come back here. You don't really see the big, big data words in this definition. Okay, so that means for this research program, of course you can do something related to big data, but you can also just do data, small data. Okay, it doesn't have to be big data. Okay, so when I contact William Mary News, try to publish a story about this project, then the writer, the editor, asked me the first question: how big is the data? So I think usually for people that doesn't follow technology much, that probably will be the first question. So this is how big is the data? So first of all. You probably at least know up to the first 4, right? So, because 10 years ago, your computer mostly used a megabyte. Now, if you 5 years ago, probably using gigabytes. So now, your own hard drive probably is in the terabyte. Okay. If you don't know those, now you can learn about so what is the next 4 level of units of the data. Okay. So basically, this is every one of this is multiplied by 1,000. Okay. So it seems like I haven't seen anyone use the last one, but you can see the next three here. Okay. So every day, so how much data is generated? So it's in this magnitude, is in the exabyte. Okay. And if you think about a whole year, so you have to use this zettabyte. So this is this will be 10 to the 21 power, right? Okay, so this is how big data we are talking about. Okay. Then if you think if a single company, for example, the Facebook, every day they will produce about 10 terabytes. So probably you have a hard drive with 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. So Facebook will need to buy 5 of those every day. And like a Walmart, every hour they will handle 1 million customer transactions. So that also generates. So most of this data probably you can think is a use case. Probably it's just a sale transaction. Just in 1 hour, they can actually generate 2.5 terabytes. So this is really a lot of data. Okay. So as a mathematician, we can think about what kind of data we are talking about. Data is kind of really vague, right? So you can have just a signal or time series. So this in mathematics, we can think this is a function from R to R, or maybe from Z to R. So it's a sequence. That's a very typical, if you have some medical equipment to record, heart signal or the stock price, so that's give you those signals. Okay. Image basically is you can think like a picture. A picture you can think is a map from a square to R, so to a real number, but that will only give you a black-white picture, right? If this range is R3, that will be a colored picture, because you see in your computer when you use a color, they actually use a 3 number to indicate that, right? So basically all the color are generated by that. So just what's the amount of like red, blue, and yellow that's giving the color. Then you have the higher dimensional data. So spreadsheet. So everything you use, in the Excel file, that's a spreadsheet. Of course, that's mathematical object is a matrix. But now I think most of data problem is more challenging is because their dimension is not a 2. So matrix is 2-dimension thing, right? So you will have the entry maybe depend on not 2 things, but 4 things or even 20 things. So the dimension of those spreadsheet is much higher. Okay? And you have the social media data. You can think of social media like Facebook, the network. Entire thing is a graph. If you think about the mathematical object, that's a graph. So with the vertices are the people, and these nodes are whether they are connected or not. And then at every node, every vertex, you have a spreadsheet because they will have information. So you see, then you have that's why we said the data is really complex, because they have some mathematical structure like a graph or a matrix. Then in each part, the structure is still complicated. Then there are a lot of people talking about spatial data. Spatial data. So, for example, they are national ecological observation network. So there are people around the country actually